Shalom. First of all, excited by giving all great honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honor to teachers, elders, and of a great millstone, likewise, brothers putting on this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep and do brothers and sisters. Shalom. Today's lesson is titled, Riches Profit Not in the Day of Wrath. Keep your shit, Esau. Let's start off our first scripture. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 12, and verse 10 it reads, Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou had wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away. Let's stop right there for a second, because Esau uses all kinds of tricks to get Jakes to fall away from the faith. I was listening to a lesson from the elder brother, I believe it was Yashuramba, and he said that, you have some Jakes that would fall out because they came into, $20,000, or a couple $100,000, and they would just say, oh, wow, I'm rich. I don't need the Lord Yahweh Shemashah anymore. And they go about their business in the world. Now you have here in this ministry, okay, and overall, those who go out in the highway and the byway and on this unicorn, preaching, the gospel, and concerning that the true biblical Hebrew Israelites are the so-called blacks and Americans and Latinos. You have those that are compromised, okay, and we know who they are, okay. We can name one, IUIC, ISUPK. Now, when you go into the next verse here, it says, Set him not by thee, lest when he had overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place, neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a child that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? And this so-called white man Esau is a wild beast, and these other groups out there, seeking fame, seeking power, seeking prestige, wealth, okay, believing that they can somehow serve Yahweh Shai, okay, and serve Esau at the same time. And what has happened? Esau is now dictating to them what scriptures to read and how to interpret it, what name to call, okay, which is who? They always use Jesus Christ instead of Yahweh Shai, Hamashiach. They always say God instead of saying Yahweh. They're too afraid, or they're not even allowed to say that they have that perfect hatred for those that hate the Lord, which is these Edomites. Esau the Edomite, the so-called white man. They go, no, God hates Esau. No. So they've been compromised because why? They trust in their enemy. Okay? And clearly they haven't taken it within themselves to know that riches profit not in the day of wrath. And that wrath, okay, is already upon Great Babylon, America. Okay, let's go in the book of 1 John 2, and verse 14 reads, I have written unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I have written unto you, young men, because ye are strong, and the word of power abideth in you, and ye have overcome the wicked one. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Obviously, we live in the world. You still have to work, pay bills, whatever the case is like that. Still have to pay taxes. But what we don't love is the things that in this world. For example, there are a lot of people that would say that the Epstein, things that's being exposed right now, no big deal. Many of the people are willing to forgive the so-called white man. He's not in trouble like other men. Everything he does, somehow he could justify it. And as long as he, can pay off people to be silent or bend to his will, okay, he does that, and people are willing to compromise their integrity, their honor, their righteousness, okay. Jake, okay, the 2/3 Jake, they're willing to compromise or give away, okay, their inheritance. Can you imagine that? Our people are willing to allow Esau to partake in the kingdom equal to them, despite the fact that he has done nothing but oppress them in this lifetime under his rulership. And that's because they love the world. It says, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. And these people right now, okay, because, you're accepted when you're somebody according to these people in the world. When you have a name, when you can put on a big pony show, riding on a horse, keep these lavish banquets where you sit at the head table and everybody just kiss your butt, and this is something that Jake seek, because I see the so-called white man have this. He has the adoration of the world. The world, when they think of intelligence, they don't think of a so-called black man, they think of a white man. When they think of power and prestige, they think of a so-called white man, not a so-called black man or Latino man. And this is what our people want. They desire it. And the world passeth away in the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of power abideth forever. So we know one thing, that this place is going to pass away. In fact, when you go into 2 Ezra 6 and start verse 8, if you walk about daily with this in your mind, then you would not succumb to these temptations that this man brings out. It reads, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world. The so-called white man is the end of the world that we live in right now. Polluted, wicked. And Jacob, the 12 tribe of Israel, is the beginning of it that follow it. Okay? So we're right now coming to the conclusion of the so-called white man's world. So why in hell would you compromise everlasting life for a moment of satisfaction from this man? Fame. What kind of fame do you really want? Look at what happened to people like P. Diddy and the rest of them. They all got screwed over, and so will IUIC and ISUPK. You will be screwed over. The Lord is going to present you to the world in a very negative way, okay, using Esau, and he's going to allow Esau to persecute y'all. This is the reason why everyone, when they speaks negative about this ministry, they're talking about y'all, the black Hebrew Israelites, with the bullhorn, annoying people, because y'all are not walking in the pathway of righteousness that we were set up to do. Y'all are not following the orders of the Mashiach. Let's go to Proverbs 11, Psalm verse 4 reads, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivered from death. The righteousness of the perfect shall direct his way, but the wicked shall fall by his own wickedness. So if you want to follow the wicked, you want to follow his ways, you believe that he has your best interests, then you will fall just like the wicked. But we have rules that we have to follow. Commandments. Today is the conclusion, okay, of the new Sabbath. Okay, many brothers took today off from work. Many brothers did not go to the gym and do a lot of things that we would normally do. Okay, remember, keep the Sabbath holy. This is the book of Psalms 62 and 10. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. Okay, mission first. The Lord knows exactly what you mean. He knows exactly what you need. Okay, so if you do come into riches, if the Lord bless you with riches, that don't mean you stop doing the work. just continue to do the work. Continue on in the mission. Okay, don't set your heart on it. Okay, and Jake's them, as soon as the so-called white man go and hand them a bag, they trust in that oppression, and they walk around all vain and pointing the finger at other brothers and other camps and saying, y'all ain't nothing. Look at us, we're accepted. We have thousands and millions of views. They're world friendly, a set of ministers who've been compromised. Let's close with the book of Revelation 18, because despite the fact that this man wants to get you in his back pocket, keep in mind, what is this lesson about? Riches profit not in the day of wrath. And here's a wrath that's coming to Great Babylon, America, and specifically to Esau, the Edomite, the so-called white man. This verse 9 reads, and the king of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her, and they shall see the smoke of her burning. For in 1 hour, this is verse 17, for in 1 hour, so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all accompanying ships and sailors and as many as strayed by sea stood afar off. So see, 1 hour, all of this riches, all of this fame and glory and power he wants to hand to you, he cannot sustain that forever for himself. And cried when he saw the smoke of a burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Speaking of great Babylon, America. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. So all these nations have become rich and wealthy of great Babylon, America. So what Esau is offering you Hebrew Israelites is nothing in comparison to what these other tribes have garnered, through trades from the greed of this place. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for power had avenged you on her. For that. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. So there it is. That's the day of wrath, and all of the wealth of great Babylon, America, will dissolve and disappear and be destroyed with it. Lord willing, the lack of satisfied that goes back and on going on the Yahweh Bashim Al Shai Bashim Kakadash Shalom.